All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Once again, we have to give it up for this band. This band is amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is an exciting night for all of us. This is an exciting night because 365 days ago, we started this thing in Eddie's Attic. And after 365 days and 15 different storytellers and 4 different shows, we are still going strong, and we are back here at one of the best venues around in Eddie's Attic. So I just want to say to all of you who are here tonight, thank you. To all of you who have been to past shows over the last year, thank you. We are so excited to be celebrating an anniversary here at Eddie's Attic. And before we start our show tonight, I just have to say, I think Rim is still in the room. If not, he'll hear this later. But a little over a year ago, when I had the idea for this show, I took a shot in the dark, and I emailed Eddie's and said, hey, here's my idea. Here's the concept. Are you interested? I didn't hear anything back for a week and a half. And so then I started looking around their website, and I was like, let me find an actual person. So I emailed Rim. And he emailed me back in a couple days. We had a phone conversation. He was like, I absolutely love the idea of this show. It's all of what Eddie's Attic is about. They're all about local talent, local art. They're all about storytelling and singer-songwriters. And so he said, let's make this happen. So we got a date on the calendar. And last year, on July 15th, so a week before this show last year, we had sold 22 tickets. And there was a week until the show. And so, as you can imagine, I was texting Rim and I said, hey man, are we gonna cancel this? What are we doing? And so he called me, he graciously called me later that day and said, hey, take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. And he was like, even if we don't get close to selling out, he's like, I just wanna remind you that the owners and that I and that Eddie's love this and we want this to grow. And so if this first show is small, it's okay. We'll have more shows. And so for me, in that moment, that was one of those okay, I can just take a deep breath. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. We'll do one show, we'll enjoy it, and we'll see what happens. And Eddie said, no, we are going to see this thing grow. So I just want to thank Rim. I want to thank Eddie's Attic for just their support, their love for this show. And again, just for music and for art and for creativity in this city. They are so good at promoting and encouraging new artists and new shows. So thank you so much for Eddie. Let's give it a round of applause for Eddie's Attic. So if you've been to one of these shows in the past, there's probably a phrase that you've heard me say, because I think I've said it, every phrase. But when I started thinking about putting this show together, my desire was, because we live in a world where there's a lot of reasons to disagree and to see the differences in each other, I wanted to create a space where people could come together and hear other people tell stories and hear music and say, you know what, I can relate to that. I've experienced that. I've experienced this emotion, this thing in my life. And so as I started thinking about the show, the phrase that kept coming to mind was, I want people to leave this show feeling like, looking around in this room, that you have more in common than different with the people sitting next to you. And so I've said that over and over again, that, I want you to leave and know that we are more alike than different. And so recently, I sat down with one of my friends, Samuel, who's a storyteller, who's been on this stage. I love Samuel. And I really appreciate this because Samuel pushed back a little bit. And he said, Josh, I've been thinking about that phrase. And he said, I wonder, he's like, I see what you're getting at. But he said, but I also look around. And he said, I think about our shows and I think about just life in general. He said, we really are very different. He said, you think about personality-wise, your background, where you were raised, where you were born, what country, where you were raised in the world. You think about age, race, what demographic you're in. And so for me, I was like, that's true. And as I've thought about that more, I totally agree with Samuel. If we look around this room, there are a lot of differences. And at the same time, Samuel and I continued this conversation. We both agreed that's also what makes us beautiful. because diversity is a beautiful thing. If we were all alike, it would be boring, right? And so I'm still going to continue saying that, but the things that we are alike in are that all of us as humans have a deep desire, I believe, to be seen and heard and loved, right? So no matter where you grew up, where you were raised, what your background is, what your beliefs are, what your political, all that stuff, deep down, all of us have a desire to be seen and heard and loved. And so tonight, this celebration of this anniversary show is all about that. It's reminding us all that we're here tonight. And if you look around this room, this is a very diverse room. There's a lot of different people in here. And yet, we are going to hear these stories from people that are going to resonate. We're going to find ourselves in these stories. And again, my hope and desire is that we would all leave encouraged to know that we are seen and heard and loved. And so I'm so excited about this group of storytellers we have tonight. We've got 6 storytellers, 6 songs, just like always. And so at this point, I think we're going to kick it off. So I think it's time to call up first storyteller. All right. So I just talked about that deep desire for us to feel seen and heard and loved. And this first storyteller, I'm so excited for Kamaria to tell this story because it is a story about belonging. It's a story about relationship. It's a story about being young. And it's a story, again, I think that you're going to really resonate with. And then the song, I always love watching the reaction to the song after the story is over. So I'm going to go ahead and ask our first storyteller of the night, Kamaria Korta, to come on to the stage.